talk about FSU, Hurricanes and the Gators. You were just at Florida State's most recent game. They're undefeated.
Up there Saturday night against the Duke Blue Devils. It was went with the college roommates again. Brought my daughter. It was a lot of fun. Daughter hadn't really been on campus, so we walked around campus before the game. They tore down the dorm in which we all met.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and we didn't
That's
know
always
that.
Interesting.
We literally walked to that part of campus, and we're looking at
something that's different
right here, right, what and then it tore the damn thing down, man. But the Noles win again, moved to 7-0. It was an eerily similar game to the LSU game we watched together. Mm-hmm. The first half was a little sloppy. We were down. And really played better in the third quarter, but didn't get control of the game until the fourth, which is literally the blueprint of what happened with the LSU game.
Wow!
So that was a little eerie, but overall a good win. Duke's a pretty good football team. They're limited in the passing game, from what I saw. And their main quarterback started and played. We finally roughed him up, and he had to leave the game with a new injury right around the start of the fourth quarter, which kind of helped the turnaround. But it wasn't like he was throwing the ball around with any great danger.
Yeah.
So, but again, we have Wake Forest on the road this week, and we're just kind of chugging away. Things are going relatively well. There's this weird notion, though, or feeling that Jordan Travis isn't playing particularly well. He late in this game, when we needed it, he became really aggressive with the run. And I don't know, I almost get some RG3 vibes from him, where it's like he's almost trying too much to be a pocket passer, and he's losing the idea that what makes you exceptional is that danger of the running with the passing. And if you make yourself one-dimensional, you're helping the other team.
Yeah.
And I know Travis is a guy, knock on wood, he has not suffered a serious college injury, but he's a guy that's gotten banged up pretty much at each season at some point. And I think that there's kind of a fear that he, can't expose himself to that type of injury. But, the closer we get down to the stretch of this thing and potentially being in the mix for a playoff spot, at some point you just got to go all in and just play. Just play.
Yeah, I think so.
Risk injury, risk whatever, and just play.
I think so. And, I was able to watch that game in totality as well. And just watching, I texted you the day after, it seems like this is becoming Florida State's MO. I mean, it's only been a couple times this season where it's played out like that. Yeah. You're losing early, and you just, you step on the gas pedal late in the fourth, or fourth quarter and late. And but to know there's that switch that's there, and I completely agree with Jordan, because the way he used his legs in the second half. He just didn't do that in the first. And sometimes, because I don't watch every Florida State game, I almost forget that he has that he's that dynamic running the ball, because I do see him force his way in the pocket. And of course, he's a good pocket passer. I mean, so I almost look at him as he's a pocket passer and a guy who can run when he needs. But when I see him be more dynamic, I'm like, he's a guy that should be running more. You know what I mean?
I love the mobile. I mean, I literally think it's damn near impossible to defend a dual threat quarterback,
especially in college, because of the spacing on the field. The way they set up college football different than NFL. There's much more space on the perimeter in college football,
right?
And if you have a mobile quarterback that's really dynamic, you have something special.
Well, you at his best using the mobility, you have to guard every inch of the field. Mm-hmm. You have the read option dynamic where running backs go in right or left, and then the quarterback has the option to pull it and go the opposite way. So at the line of scrimmage, you have to guard both ends of it. When he's not running, when he's not ever pulling, defenses get to load and just run and pursue the side the back goes to, and you run out of space. And then when you kind of run in the RPO stuff, where you can do handoff, play action, even run it toward the line of scrimmage and fire passes, the defense has to, it's horrible to defend.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of the more significant college games of the last probably 5 years or so tended to skew toward higher scoring games. Mm-hmm. If you look at a lot of the bigger games, even a few of the title games, the scoring is pretty high. And then the other thing, and if you have an element of speed and you're threatening, down the field as well, it's a monster to defend effectively.
Now Florida State is currently 4th right now.
Yeah.
Is there any way they can get bumped out of the playoffs if they run the table? Because Washington is undefeated behind them. Oklahoma is undefeated behind them.
Yeah, but you've got Ohio State and Michigan have to play each other. You have, Georgia has to play Alabama, Florida. They've got to make a couple tests before the end of the year. Washington, I don't know the rest of their schedule.
I have it here. They have USC, they have Utah, who is 13th, and they have Oregon State, who is 11th.
Okay, so they have some ranked teams and potentially could fall. I do think, I will say this, I think that there is a West Coast bias that makes it harder for them. A lot of their bigger games are played when most of the country's not going to watch. And I think that can help.
Yeah, but if they beat those 3 ranked teams and they're all in a row, if they beat them, can that help their case?
You know for sure. Well, winning never hurts. Like, that's the thing. But I like what I would say, and we're not a lock. There's certainly a scenario where if we play poorly enough down the stretch, but I think the fact that we are already 4 and Michigan, Ohio State have to play each other, if we run the table, and I do think a couple of things you got to remember, like a couple of our games have been super highly viewed. Yeah. Even that game, there's a lot of currency to Florida State, and he's an Ohio State guy, but Kirk Herbstreit is he's like a low key Seminole supporter. Yeah. Like he was critical when we were bad, but when we're good, he's one of those guys that's quick to bring us up in any general conversation. He's quick to talk about the great atmosphere of and how important it is for college football when Florida State's good. I think there's enough positive press about us. And we have enough of a profile that I'd be really surprised if we run the table and don't make the 4. That would be pretty shocking to me.
It would. That's really what I'm asking. Yeah. And I think those are only 2 teams that could make it interesting because they're still undefeated, right?
Yeah.
Texas took a big loss there.
And I don't know.
They're going to need help.
The other thing is and you don't forget these games, the conference playoff game, conference final game. Because you may have like an Oregon-Washington rematch. You may have Texas having another crack at Oklahoma. We may have to play like a North Carolina or Louisville. It's a one-loss team at this point.
And they only beat Oregon by 3 points. So
it was a close game. If you watching that game, Oregon had like a 4th and 2 or something near midfield and went for it, came up short, and then Washington immediately responded. If they make that 2 yards, the game's over. They're running out the clock, but they came up short. Washington quickly scored, and then even Oregon had a chance to get a field goal, and I think they either missed it or got blocked. So that game was super close. And I think that one was in Washington, not a neutral site.
I think so.
Yeah. No,